Hi there and welcome back to this course. In this lesson we're going to learn how to paint a glass texture using our sphere. To do that we have the circle and photos as a basic reference. As I commented in previous lessons, it's really important to have these references to hand that you can always use when you need to paint something you don't know how to do. That's why we're doing a texture study. So, let's get to it. The brush I'm going to use for this one is the same I used for the other, and as always, I recommend you try creating your own brushes, adjust the basic Photoshop ones, or download some online to find the ones that best adapt to your style. With the colour selector, I'm going to use a bluish grey tone to start with and start painting the sphere. We're using grey, as for glass it's best to use a range of greys. So as I'm painting the shape of the sphere, I'm respecting the areas of light. You need to do a mental study of how the light works on your sphere and where the areas of light and shadow will appear. With the tones we're getting, we'll use the eyedropper tool to complete the sphere. The grey tones that appear will always be useful when we're mixing in our painting. So we'll make the most of the darker colours to add those dark hues that we need. A glass, besides having lots of white shine and shimmer, it also has great contrast of black, so we need to bear both these things in mind. Just check your references to have a look at this. With white, I'll paint the bright areas of the sphere where I need to. Generally, we'll find these at the ends of the sphere depending on the light source. And as you can see in the references, we have them at the ends, so we can follow this pattern. Once we've painted the light areas, we need to remove the reference circle to start working on the painting. So you see that it changes a lot working with or without a reference. It's always good to work without one every now and then just to see what we need to correct. So now I'll define the edges of the sphere so it doesn't look infinite. We need to give the impression that it's a solid sphere, so defining those edges is crucial. Use the tones you have on the sphere already to do this. As we said before, we need a strong contrast. So I'm going to take a darker tone I have, although without getting to the black, and I'm going to paint contrast on the edges of the sphere to get that glass effect. You can highlight some of the edges to add consistency to the texture. It's important that the glass reflects light and dark areas to contrast, so to achieve the appearance of that material. The glass doesn't only have a white and see-through tone, but as you see in the references, there are a great number of grey tones, but with very strong contrasts. With all the dark tones that we've used, we're starting to define the shape of the sphere really well. We'll also take the light colours we used to define the light reflections and make the material stand out even more. With the tones we already have, and the brush on a low opacity, we can mix the colours so they blend in better with the areas of light and darker. It's interesting to take elements directly from those references to give those extra touches to the material. We can define the light on the sphere a little bit better, giving them a rectangular shape and generating a gradient towards grey at the end of that shimmer, at the end of the light. Also, we're going to take the tones we have on the edges of some areas of light and shadow, and we're going to mix them with a low opacity brush so we don't get extra unwanted volume. So in my case, there's an area of black that I don't really want to keep, so what I'll do is blend it in with the rest of the sphere. I'll give an extra shine to the sphere. So we'll take a light colour and a low opacity and paint circles of light on the sphere, and this will just add to the material, to the texture. We can define the light area better, so they stand out and they contrast. And we'll define those edges a little bit more on the sphere just to make it more compact. And so the glass is finished. With the references for the materials, we've managed to achieve that glass effect we were looking for. In the next lesson, we'll paint rocks. I hope you're still enjoying the course, and I'll see you for the next lesson.